Welcome to today's episode, the podcast where we discuss the most recent installments of a different series every show. If you've made it this far into 2024 and you just haven't found the right detective series for you, I gotta say, you're probably the problem. Because Fool Me Once, Under the Bridge, Tracker, Elsbeth, Monsieur Spade, True Detective, Only Murders, Bad Monkey, Woman in Blue, The Jetty, Manhunt, Death and Other Details, there's Matlock coming out pretty soon.
With season 1, yeah.
You should not be hinging everything on high potential. And honestly, I think that maybe 2025 should take a breather from detective series. So let's take a look at their schedule. We got Sherlock and Daughter, a Bosch
Sherlock.
spinoff.
Wait, so Sherlock is coming back for season 5?
No, it's just another show called Sherlock and Daughter.
Oh.
And I think that's like the Millie Bobby Brown. She was his niece, right?
In Enola Holmes, yeah.
I think it's like the Batman thing where it can be extended family. Anybody can be a Robin at this point. The Bosch spinoff is there. There's Good Cop, Bad Cop. That's about siblings working as detectives. And then Sheriff Country. It's a Fire Country spinoff. So I assume on CBS, right?
Yeah.
So this is an ABC show, high potential.
And ABC, by the way, has been killing it lately. Last Sunday, they had 6.87 million viewers tuning in for the Emmys. That is the highest. Yes, that is higher, or that is the most popular Emmy since 2021. They even beat out the 2020 telecasts. However, the big story isn't the 54% increase from last year's record low 4.3 million viewers. Do you know what the big story is, what everyone is talking about?
The Schitt's Creek guys? Because they're the ones who did the
No, they're
hosting?
the ones that hosted it.
Yeah.
But the big story is that Hacks won for Outstanding Comedy Series, beating out The Bear, which was heavily favored going into it. But that's very coincidental because Kaitlin Olson, she's in Hacks, but she was also nominated for Outstanding Guest Actress in a Comedy Series just last Sunday.
Okay. Nominated, but she did not win.
Yeah, she actually lost to Jamie Lee Curtis from The Bear.
Yeah, The Bear did not go without its, like, it still won a ton of awards.
I think it won 11 awards.
That's a lot. Shogun also carried a lot. Kaitlin Olson presented with her husband. High potential, though. What are we supposed to know about this? Or tell me what this show is supposed to be. Because there's a lot of other shows coming out. Agatha, Penguin, Aaron Hernandez's biodrama, Brian Murphy's version of it. So why high potential?
Well, I thought that when I first heard it, just from the posters themselves, it was going to be like The Cleaning Lady. Because look at this. This is like basically the same. They're like the same
They have it
poster.
on Netflix. Right? No, I wouldn't have thought that. I just thought it was like the Mick 2 or something, which I kind of wanted because I think the Mick is like an underrated comedy.
So did you know it was going to be like a detective series, or did you just think it was going to be
not really. I just, Kaitlin Olson, comedy, thought that's good factors, probably going to lead to something okay. So anything else you want to say about the series before I just jump into plot?
Well, do you know who the creator is? Drew Goddard?
I recognize the name.
Okay, well, he's
wait. Is that the guy? And I might be totally off here, but the one who did with Drew, the other Drew, the other two.
The other two? No,
he has nothing to do with the other two?
No,
okay,
but he wrote the pilot for Buffy. He worked on Angel, Alias, and Lost, and created and wrote the first 2 episodes of Daredevil, the Netflix series, even directed the pilot of The Good Place. But he's also done movies, specifically horror movies, and I wanted to see if you could guess which one he didn't do. So all the other ones he did out of these.
Sure, how many options? 4?
Yeah, 4. Cloverfield, Cabin in the Woods, World War Z, and Late Night with the Devil.
And you're saying created?
That he directed these.
That he directed?
Which one did he not?
I didn't think he directed Cabin in the Woods, but I could be wrong. Cabin in the Woods.
Nope, it was Late Night with the Devil. He did do Cabin in the Woods. He also did Bad Times at the El Royale. So he's like an established person that created this series.
Yeah, did he write it as well?
Yeah, I think he wrote part of it, because what ABC did was this was actually based off of a French series, I think.
Yeah.
High Potential Intellectual, I think is what it's called. And then ABC had the rights to make a US version, and they hired him to write the pilot.
So is he the other guy to Joss Whedon's thing that like they locked themselves in?
Yeah, I think so.
In a room and
he also,
weeks.
for example, wrote The Martian. So it's like, this guy, he's well established.
Well, it's going to make a difference in how I'm talking about this because then I get to add some more. But yeah, let's jump into high potential. This show is a real head scratcher to me. We start off with a police station that's closed.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know police stations closed. I thought they were operational 24/7.
24 hours.
Like, obviously, you can't go in there at any time unless there's an emergency. But I thought there was always like an attendant or officers. Like maybe movies have ruined it for me where they're all burning the midnight oil, trying to solve cases and stuff. Maybe in small towns, they'd be closed, but this is the LAPD.
Yeah.
And we're seeing a completely shut down police station or precinct, and this lady janitor walks in. They have one janitor, Morgan Guillory. I assume that she's been vetted before, but from what we learn about her later on, because she is the main character, she's had some misdemeanors in the past.
Right.
So I guess they're just okay with that she
would work at
unsupervised
a precinct.
In a police precinct. Yes, they have her working there. And I'm not here to like shame her cleaning dance that she does, because she gets really into it. But I think she gets a bit carried away. She's jumping on desks. She's accidentally knocking over important folders concerning murder cases. And that's when, like in the first few minutes, she bends over and she uses her superpower. Call it whatever you want. Rain Man, Beautiful Mind, Psych, Monk, House, Good Will Hunting, Steve from Blue's Clues. She stares down the pages. You know the look. She gets that glimmer in her eye. She picks up the marker for the board with all the like connections to who's the suspects and stuff. And I'm ready. As the audience member, I'm like, okay, she's about to like throw down some shit. You know, like it's going to look good. She's going to map it all out for you. And then the next day, the cops are going to walk in and be like, who solved the murder? You know, that thing? Here we go. She goes up. She crosses out the word suspect and writes victim. Mic drop.
That's
she
it.
Leaves. That's it. She's done for the day. She's solved it, I guess, in her head, and so that's the rest is history. You know, I really wanted this to be the Mick. I really wanted it to be funny, but starting off, you could kind of tell that it wasn't going to go that direction. She's still supposed to be a badass, but not in the way that you're supposed to feel like super good supporting her, because I don't know. It just
so is she like unlikable?
Lacking.
Really? That's interesting.
Compared to the Mick, or It's Always Sunny, but more so the Mick because she's humanized more in that show and she gets to show off more of her comedy chops.
So you think it was what Kaitlin Olson was given that didn't work?
Right. Or Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's where I'm surprised that the director, who's done so much writing and good shows, could be starting off with this one, because the next morning, Carla from Scrubs, you got a cast on this one. Dr. Death Season 2, Mandy Moore's bestie, if anybody's seen that.
Right. You those are the last two things she's worked on. I know you've been watching that.
Yeah. Just catching up. Episode, I think 5 is a zinger of that show. Season 2 overall, I would not recommend, though. Captain Selena. That's Carla. What's her real name again?
Judy Reyes.
Yeah, I remember seeing that in Scrubs every time. So Captain Selena, she's in the precinct. The lead detective is also there. His name is Adam Karadek. And they discover Morgan's handiwork. Like, they're in the middle of talking about this murder case that they're trying to solve. And he looks down and he's like, who did this? You know, crossing out this word.
Who crossed out a name and wrote a word?
They didn't cross out a name. They crossed out the word suspect and wrote victim. And he is very, I guess, controlling of that board. And so he gets very upset about it. And as soon as they figure out what happened, they know what they have to do. They go to the janitor's house and they arrest her.
They arrest her?
Yes.
Can you even arrest someone
I want you to understand, they send the lead detective, this Adam dude, who's on an active murder investigation where the killer is still at large and has only been gone for 2 days. So they're like well on his tail, to arrest the precinct janitor, a single mother of 3, for writing, as you said, a word on a board.
Tampering with evidence? Did they give any reason as to why she was even arrested?
I think they're just pissed off at her. I think it's just cops swinging their dicks, you know? Like, and so there's no outrage, though. From her, from the cops, no one really is upset that she gets arrested. The show expects us to just sort of accept it in good faith because it offers the captain, Selena, the opportunity to find out just how perceptive that Morgan is.
Mm-hmm.
Once we realize that, at this point, the show just becomes a regurgitating trope, like tropes from the 20 years that we've seen, Monk and Psych mostly. After some hemming and hawing, she joins the investigation, to Karadek's dismay. You'll always have to have that partner who's just like kind of upset that he has to work with this person who's just come on the force. And I understand that. They interview some witnesses together. They interrogate this scummy tech CEO who has low-key been the main suspect the whole time. No matter what the board has said, it's always seemed like it's going to be this Elliot Diamond, because not only is he a bad dude, is he a tech guy, but he's also got a ton of sexual assault charges against him that have been like thrown under the rug or whatever.
So aside from just going back to Morgan for a quick second, you said that she's the mother of 3, but is that like the main thing they give you to care about her? Does she have any other type of quality?
Life, I kind of want to save till the ending. I kind of want to just go right through the detective stuff first. But I do feel bad for not her, but CEOs in general, tech CEOs, because they have millions of dollars, but TV writers seem to hate them. You know, You just got to feel bad that they can't turn on the TV
Always
and
evil.
numb their mind without feeling like a dick. Because every time they do, it's just like, oh, that's supposed to be me. But I'm a murderer now. All right. In the end, Morgan returns to the scene of the crime to carefully exposit how exactly the CEO and his lover staged the body and froze it within his own living room. Apparently his thermostat goes down just that cold, and it doesn't kill any of the other plants in there except for the flowers that were brought in earlier. And they do this so that they can trick the coroner to give the wrong date of time. You would think that if a body was frozen and then unfrozen within like a day, that there would be some sign of that to the coroner.
Yeah,
the coroner
right.
would be able to put it together. And then they altered the cam footage. They kidnapped the wife of the guy, the victim, and it's super convoluted. We're expected to buy it. And so that's sort of the end of the mystery. The daughter meets the mom again and everything's good. Morgan takes a full-time gig as
I was
going to
say, right, yeah.
Yeah, she gets hired at the end. Not a part-time gig, though. I think Sean and Gus from Psych, they were only part-time.
So she figures out one case.
Yes. And she's not on good behavior the whole time. Like, she's a smart aleck. She's doing the wrong thing. She gets arrested like twice during that time. She assaults a police officer, and yet they give her a full-time job. Captain Selena tosses her a big salary because she demands one. And you know, the LAPD, they just have endless funds. So they just give her a huge job.
When it came to like how authenticity or how accurate this show is, I'm pretty sure you'd probably be giving it like a D minus F on the scale.
I mean, I'm not a detective, but I would have to say on first, it does not pass the sniffer test, you know? Mm-hmm. So that's the detective part. Explain. The other head scratcher to me is that Morgan has OCD. We're supposed to believe that she has an IQ of 160, which is very high. Einstein, Stephen Hawking, they had that. It's definitely a humble brag for the show.
Right.
When she turns around, she's like, I've got an IQ of 160.
Well, again, she also even name drops the original series by saying that I'm a high potential or female, high potential intellectual or something.
It's just something so biased about that test. It's been like, I mean, smart people do have high IQs, but hinging everything on that. Also, but here's the rub. Monk needed an assistant. He had a giant IQ, but he needed an assistant for a reason in his personal life because he couldn't take care of himself in a lot of ways. Sean from Psych wasn't even capable. Like, he was so immature, he didn't even stay at his own apartment. He had his own apartment that he used for storage, and he would sleep on the couch of his office on the beach. He certainly also had, even though his limitations were different, he also had limitations because of his eccentricity.
And when it came to Sherlock, because I saw people compare female Sherlock, I mean, you have Watson, and Watson was the person who kind of helped him become more social, or at least like was there to be the other part to him.
I think in the first episode, he calls himself a sociopath. Like, he's unable to communicate with people. When you have OCD or these other problems, I think that's what they were partly trying to put on her. But then at the same time, she's not a bad mom. She knows right from wrong. She's a stickler for the rules and the details. She has 3 kids that she's raised very well. She wouldn't even let her daughter buy chapstick in the first scene because she's got it all figured out. And all that maturity that we see there, the second scene, because the first scene is her dancing on in the police station. But all that maturity just wipes away. It disappears whenever she goes into the police station wearing one of her fur coats. She just can't wrap her head around common protocol for police, like you can't break into places or else the evidence becomes inadmissible, or not smacking the windows in the middle of an interrogation. Like, she's not an idiot savant. We learned that pretty early on. So why do you keep on then trying to use that as a get out of jail free card and say that she's just unruly and rebellious when earlier she's shown to be the exact opposite?
Well, it's weird.
They're trying to have their cake and eat it too.
Maybe she was comparing Morgan to her other roles that she did, but Olson said that this character is more grounded.
Right, because she's smarter and because she's a mom. But when she's on the police force, she waits in the bathroom for the Karadec guy to show up at the office where she knows that he's going to show up. And she waits for him to go in there, diagnoses him with OCD, which she likes to do a lot. She's diagnosed herself with OCD. And when she tried to find a clue earlier of the victim the person that she crossed out as being a suspect and said was a victim, she said she claimed to do that because she said that person had OCD. Mm-hmm. So part of her intelligence is just being perceptive that everybody around her has OCD, which is stupid. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm being too nitpicky in that case, but it's not that remakes can't work. This feels like it's trying to be a remake of all those shows. But we've seen that with Elsbeth, and that's supposed to be Columbo. And she does a great job of it. If you want to see a show about a mom struggling to raise her kids, you can watch Maid. I mean, that's pretty amazing. If you want a snarky distrust and authority sort of detective show, you have Bad Monkey that's out right now. All great shows that I think fit their own mold. This one, I don't even think there's mid potential here.
Wow.
I think it's a 3 out of 10 for me.
A 3
Olsen
out of 10.
just isn't charismatic in this role. The plot is convoluted. I think ABC can do better. And it sounds like they're already starting to with the Emmys, you said. So
well, also the Oscars got like 21 million views on ABC. So maybe award shows are back. But that is actually very different from what the reviews are saying. I have 3 headlines here, all from different publications. TVLine.com said high potential review. An inspired Kaitlin Olson elevates this brainy crime procedural. The Daily Beast said high potential review. Kaitlin Olson outshines formulaic comedy. The Hollywood Reporter. Kaitlin Olson is the one good reason to watch ABC's clumsy procedural.
Yeah, so, see, that one's not necessarily even a good review, though.
But when it comes to Kaitlin Olson, you said that she wasn't charismatic, and
I'm saying like this role really boxes her up. She has to play charismatic, but confined to also being this very like intent mom. She's there to solve her husband's disappearance from 20 years earlier.
Right, Roman.
I think her as an actress, she's probably great. She'd love to take the role because she's like, I get to try something new. I don't do a lot of drama normally. But at the same time, I think she's so good at the comedy part of it. It really makes that, I miss the Mick. I think, again, that's her bread and butter. I think that compared to that, the Hollywood Reporter would probably say that they enjoyed that one much more than this.
Well, I have 2 that you haven't mentioned yet when it comes to comparisons. One was Castle and one was The Mentalist. I was wondering how this connects to either one of those, if it does.
I mean, just like with Castle, you have a guy who's teamed up, or a girl in this case, but like teamed up with a partner who I think they were at odds ends with each other. Yeah. There might have been romantic tension there at one point.
I think there was, yeah.
And he's got his own eccentricities. I think he's kind of more smug even than Kaitlin Olson's character is here. And then with the other one, Mentalist, that was about him versus like a really, like this guy whose name was Red, I think, who was like a big time serial killer. And so the gist of that show was him trying to chase this one dude throughout the series. That's quite different than this. I wouldn't compare it.
I know that Alethea Jones, she directed this episode. She's also directed Miss Davis, Grease, Rise of the Pink Ladies, the 2 episodes that you watch, Shining Vale, and Evil. So I think that like when you're talking about the tone, that's probably what fit those, I think, the most. But yeah, I also wanted to ask, do you have any theories possibly about Roman, her husband that went missing?
The one who went to not Karen Killam, because she has had another relationship which she had 2 kids with. And what would be my theory, because she does discuss it with her daughter, her teenage daughter.
I have 3 here that actually TV Insider came up with, and maybe you could say which one you agree with most.
So this was the deal, was what she went back to say, I accept your offer and I will be a consultant here, but you have to work for me as well. I want you to look for my husband. Mm-hmm. The fact that she has these skills, that she wasn't able to uncover anything when it originally happened, when he originally disappeared, doesn't bode well realistically for them suddenly finding out information now, especially if you think that she was that intent on figuring it out and she was already working at the police station where she could have, snuck in, taken some of those files for herself and just said, this is the reason I did it. I would... Obviously, there's going to be a big break and they're going to explain stuff. But if the show wants to go more than a season, it might just follow what Monk did and take forever to get there.
It's going to be 10 episodes. They shot the pilot in Vancouver and everything else in LA. But the 3 things that people are saying about what happened to Roman is A, he did abandon his family, which is just the police's theory. Roman was killed because he was in too deep with crime.
No, I think they're setting it up for the daughter to meet up with Roman again at some point.
Well, the last one was Roman was kidnapped.
Yes. Well, That's an obvious one, right? Like, he's still alive. They're going to see him again. And you know who's going to play him? I think they've already cast him, just like with Tracker and all those other shows that What's-His-Face is showing up in. The guy who played in Supernatural, Dean from Supernatural. He's going to end up being the dad. I guarantee it. Is 100% confirmed at this point. Yeah, so 3 out of 10 for me. It's not my favorite show of the year. Not my favorite detective series either. What do you got?
It has a 7.3 on IMDb and a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay, well, I'm not with the opinion. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode. Hope you enjoyed this one. Bye.
Bye.